He's going to have to be on top of his game. Javier Vasquez, the veteran pitcher for the Florida Marlins, nearing 2,800 innings in his career. He has 159 wins. If he gets 6 strikeouts in his game, he'll get to 2,500. He's had an amazing career, an amazing second half after a very, very difficult start.
Javier Vasquez, the leading strikeout artist among active Today, the Marlins got held to 2 runs in the doubleheader last night and have been averaging less than 3 runs per game in losing 19 of their last 23. So Greg Dobbs goes up into the 2-hole. Mike Stanton hits 3rd. Logan Morrison dropped in the cleanup spot. Infante drops from 2nd to 5th as the Marlins try and get something going against Mike Pelfrey.
50 wins in his Mets career. You can try little goals when you're having a tough year like Mike is, 7-10. A chance with 5 to 6 more starts to get that record over 500.
Mike Pelfrey beat the Marlins in his first major league start in 2006. Since then, he's 0-7. 15 starts without a win against this team, and it's been games he's pitched well and games he's pitched poorly. It hasn't mattered. He's faced them 4 times this year and hasn't beaten them yet.
Well, the stars should be aligned for Mike here. This is a Marlin club in disarray, and this lineup is really struggling.
Emilio Bonifacio facing Pelfrey. Jack McKeon trying to mix things up a little bit tonight as best he can to try and get his team going. 2 balls and a strike to Bonifacio. The Marlins have already had a month in June when they won only 5 games. Now they're in a stretch where they've won 4 of their last 23. In between, they were raging hot through the month of July after McKeon took over, but things are not going well right now. Bonifacio, normally the 3rd baseman, playing shortstop with Hanley Ramirez out. Hanley could be back as early as tomorrow or Thursday and join the Marlins here in New York. Coming back from a sprained shoulder that he suffered trying to make a dive here at Citi Field. 2-2 to Bonifacio. And it's in there for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at the splitter. And Bonifacio is down looking to start the night.
Well, nice little pitch here from Pelfrey on the outside part. Bonifacio thinks that pitch is up.
It was not. And Reyes, his 100th game of the season. This is the Mets defense, brought to you by Lexus. And it's good to have Jose back, his 2nd game since returning off the disabled list. 1 for 4 last night. Made a very sparkling play in the field. Nice diving backhand. And Evans over at first base has really played a good first base.
And boy, has he been hitting. Here's Greg Dobbs, who takes ball 1. Dobbs homered for the only Florida run in the nightcap last night against Dylan G. I guess it's a commentary on the way the season has gone for the Marlins. You bring in Greg Dobbs to be your left-handed bat off the bench. They're playing their 134th game tonight. He started 81 of them.
That's not a good sign. Wes Helms, who was let go by the Marlins, just couldn't create any kind of offense this season.
The good news for Dobbs, though, is he's having a bounce-back year after a dreadful season last year with the Phillies, when his pinch hitting skills just seemed to disappear.
They morphed over to Ross Globe, who's been outstanding for them.
Dobbs at 287 with 6 home runs. And the curveball from Pelfrey, 2 in a row, and he falls behind 3-1.
You see that? Mike took a little off that curveball, not for a strike, but that's something we've never seen from him.
Mike Stanton hitting 3rd in the order tonight, waiting on deck. Pelfrey behind 3-1, and Dobbs bounces 1 on the right side. Turner makes the play to Evans, and they're 2 men down.
Nothing sweeter than a 3-1 fastball away, and the hitter rolls it over to second base. Thank you very much.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now here's Stanton, 1 for 6 in this series. The last time that Pelfrey faced the Marlins, Stanton played a key role, but not against Pelfrey. Pelfrey and Vasquez matched up as they're matching up tonight, and both pitched pretty well. The Mets would tie that game on a Lucas Duda home run in the bottom of the 9th. Only to see Stanton hit a grand slam off Jason Isringhausen in the 10th. And the Marlins won that game 7-3. Another Pelfrey start against the Marlins that resulted in a loss.
Tony Perez, Hall of Famer. He's one of the advisors here. I was always of the opinion that we were only allowed to have a manager and 5 coaches on the bench in uniform.
Hall of Famer.
Well, they've got 2 Perez's in that dugout. In the background, you can see Eduardo Perez, the Marlins hitting coach, Tony's son. Fastball strike to Stanton, and it's 2-2. There's Eduardo, who took over in mid-season when they fired John Malley.
And yesterday in both games of that doubleheader, they handled Stanton. Now, granted, now he's got a lot more on his shoulders. He's a very young player with handling Ramirez out, but they went up in the strike zone on him, Ronnie, and he fished a lot. He went fishing for it.
See his good numbers against Pelfrey.
Pelf's going to have to be careful of that little slider of his against Stanton.
Three-two, and Stanton hammers one down to third. Wright backs off, and the throw on target to get him. And Pelfrey starts the night with a 1-2-3 inning. Reyes set to lead off the bottom of the first. No score at Citi Field. Tonight, Justin Turner gets the start at second base after Ruben Tejada played there in game 2 last night. Nick Evans is hot as anybody right now, batting 7th. Javier Vasquez on the mound, and he deals low and away to Jose Reyes.
Javi, 159 wins in his career. This is 10-10 against the Mets in his career.
Reyes at .336, leading the National League by 2 points over Ryan Braun. Reyes needed a hit his last time up to retain his league lead, and he got it. And it's going to be nip and tuck to hang on to that, become the Mets' first ever batting champ.
They've got a month of season left and 2 points between them. The race is on.
Brewers were off last night. They host St. Louis tonight. I guess it's beyond the last gasp for the Cardinals. 10.5 behind.
Oh, they're done.
Even if they sweep that series from the Brewers.
Take them out of the oven, stick a fork in them.
Up and away to Reyes, and it's 2-2. Javier Vasquez, 2,494 strikeouts. That is first among active pitchers. In fact, there are only 2 active pitchers over 2,000. Tim Wakefield at age 44 is the other. Mets first saw Javier Vasquez pitching for the Montreal Expos, and he has always pitched them tough. They're the batting leaders in the National League. Murphy will fall out of those rankings because he's out for the year and does not have enough plate appearances to qualify at the end.
It's too bad for Daniel. He was really having a fine offensive year.
Reyes into center field. Cameron coming off, and it'll fall for a hit. Cameron took a very odd route to that ball, and Reyes has himself a base hit to lead off the bottom of the first.
A lot of airtime for that ball to drop, huh?
So Reyes is aboard. His 146th hit of the year, and here's Justin Turner back in the 2-hole for this game. Terry Collins said again tonight that he intends to split the playing time between Turner and Tejada, but boy, is he singing Tejada's praises right now.
Yeah.
With a number of things that Ruben can do well. We saw another one last night, just incredible instinctive play that he made covering first base. But you know, you don't want to overlook the year that Turner is having.
And the biggest role that the Mets were on of recent, when they went into Texas, when they went into Detroit, this is kind of the lineup they had. Reyes and then Turner in the 2 spot.
Well, we talked about it last night, and I mentioned the flip side of the coin here is Tejada's hot, and he wants to play Tejada. But by the same token, Turner's played so wonderfully. He's tapered off a little bit, obviously, late here. But you want to give him an opportunity to come back. And he could get hot and have a great September and feel good about himself going into the next season.
In this lineup, Justin Turner's second in RBIs to Angel Pagan. That'll tell you the kind of season he's had.
Well, he's 5th in the league hitting with runners in scoring position. That's how good a year Turner's had. And Vasquez gets a call on the inside corner, 2-1.
If one thing I think that Justin needs to work on in the offseason, I think he needs, is too bad he couldn't get Buddy Harrelson. Teach him how to get out of the way when he turns 2. He's such a hard-nosed player, and he stays in there on those when those guys are coming barreling on him, and he's got to learn how to get out of the way and be a little more agile and turn that double play and not take the beating that he's took this year.
Because it's had an impact on his season. You know, he had the thumb injury that slowed him down early, and he's had all sorts of problems with his leg and with his hip. The result of being hit by some pitches, but also all that contact around the bag at second. Reyes looked more in running mode that time.
Good tag by Sanchez. That was a quick, hard tag
For a right-hander, too.
There'll be no love lost when he gets slapped like this.
Remember, Al Wiggins told me one time he had to stop tagging me so hard. It's the Padres.
You want to fight?
Yeah, I said I wouldn't have told Andujar throw here again. He gave me another hard one.
I figured you would. Here's the 2-1, and Turner hits it hard, but just foul. Two and two to Turner with Wright on deck. It'll be interesting to see how quickly Reyes gets back into stolen base mode. It took him a few games when he came back from the DL the first time. He's running now. Buck's throw is not in time, and Reyes steals the base. So it took him to the second game.
Well, Buck is slow releasing the ball. He's not really quick back behind the plate, but that's not taking away anything from Jose. I don't think Johnny Bench could have thrown him out right there. Terrific jump, too much speed.
35 steals now for Reyes. He's fallen to 4th in the league. Michael Bourne with 47 leads the league. So he's in scoring position with nobody out. A 3-2 count to Turner. And Justin hits it to the right side. Moves Reyes over to third. Infante gets the out. So a productive out for Turner. And Reyes is at third with 1 out.
Well, something that Justin does very well, going the other way.
So now David Wright will try and get the run in.
David was 3 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday with 2 RBI in the second game.
And the Marlins are going to bring the infield in the first inning.
Well, the way they've been hitting.
Interesting. Jack McKeon trying to choke off the run early. Risking the bigger inning. And the slider blowing away from right.
Well, I know they haven't scored, but I don't like this play at all in the first inning. Keep the infield back. If you give up a run, if you're not going to score a run anyways, last time I looked, you can't win. So
that's a good point, Ron.
You know, I mean, come on.
Wright is 4 for 15 with a home run in his career against Vasquez. They're keeping the breaking ball away from him 2-0.
We'll take a look at the Coors Light Marlin defense, which is not the grandest defense in the National League. Come a long way is Sanchez. I mean, when he first went over there, Gabby, he was really struggling just catching a ball. But he's really worked hard and improved himself. The outfield defense, you know, outside of Cameron, the corner outfield positions are shaky.
Vasquez keeping everything away from Wright. Hadn't thrown him a fastball yet. So it's 3-0 to David with Duda on deck.
I think Vasquez wants the slower Duda up, and even though he's left-handed, running hot.
Wright swinging 3-0.
Beautiful.
Don't see that very often.
There's Lucas. Well, he's close to 300. You see that? Good for him.
Bobby Vasquez, now 35 years old. Had a terrible start to this year, but he's had a terrific second half. And Wright swinging through the fastball. It's 3-2.
David mad at himself there. That was not a pitch. Out of the strike zone. And you can see his expression.
He's going to get that slider right at him. Where it kind of starts right at him and breaks out over the plate.
Too high, ball 4, and now the Mets have runners at the corners.
Well, that was the pitch. I know he wasn't, the catcher was set up away, John Buck. But I think David with 2 strikes, you got to go up and in.
So Duda gets in the bat with first and third and 1 out. Lucas stretched his hitting streak to 7 games in the first game last night with 3 hits, but then went 0 for 4 in the nightcap. 291 on the year, 339 since the All-Star break. That's 3rd in the National League. That's how good Duda has been since the break, and all 7 of his home runs have come since the break. Now the Marlins have the infield back at double play depth. Duda was hitting everything in the air to center field last night in the second game.
Vasquez throwing hard. He is throwing hard. That's probably one of the reasons why he's had a better second half.
I mean, it's not reflected in Vasquez's won-loss record, but his first 13 starts, 7.09 ERA. His last 13 starts, 2.64. It's awfully good. 2-0 now to Duda with Pagan on deck. They're your National League leaders among rookies in home runs, and Duda has crept up into that top 5.
Interesting. 2 of them are with the Nationals.
Speaking of the Nationals, they're getting Steven Strasburg back next week. He's going to make his first start Tuesday night after the Mets leave town.
Of course.
He's going to face the Dodgers his first time out, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Reyes and Wright on base at the same time. It's a lovely sight for the Mets. Duda hooks one in the air to right. Not all that deep. Stanton's got a very good arm. Reyes tagging. Stanton grabs it, and Reyes will stay put.
I got to cut that ball, Gabby.
Wright goes to second with that ball getting past the cutoff man. But now second and third and 2 out.
Very heads up by David. This is just not taking anything for granted. Very heads up. Fooled by the changeup. Stanton's got to hit the cutoff man. He did. Oh, they had Wright dead to rights. Look at David. Maybe he was trying to draw. See, Sanchez is not set up.
Maybe trying to get a run down and free Reyes to score.
Yep. Gabby didn't know what to do.
So now 2 in scoring position with 2 down for Angel Pagan. Angel 1 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday, but hitting .343 in the month of August.
He's been hot.
And he lifts one out to left, and Morrison circles to get there. Side retired, so the Mets waste a couple of first inning base runners. No score after 1. it tonight. Who are the 3 Mets players to lead off a World Series game with a home run?
Well, I know one.
I know 2.
And in each case, it was the 3rd game of the series.
Yep.
Logan Morrison leads off in the 2nd inning against Mike Pelfrey, who retired the side in order in the 1st. Morrison 1 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday. Moved down from the 3 to the cleanup spot tonight.
Morrison with that Charlie Lau, Walt Hereniak swing, which I am not.
Something's wrong with Pelfrey, by the way. Doing some stretching on the mound after the last 2 throws, almost like he's hurt his back or something's just uncomfortable.
And Worthen keeping an eye on him. Gets over to cover nicely. 3-1 put out for the first out of the inning.
Well, as I said when we spotlighted the Met defense, Nick Evans is making all the plays at first base. He's had some hard hit balls. There's Pelt. That'll make Ronnie Gray happy.
Yes,
that's actually a must. You don't get stars for that. You get demerits if you don't do it.
Now Omar Infante dropped to 5th in the batting order. Only the 2nd time this year he's batted 5th for the Marlins. And he hits it out to center field. Jason Pagan back a few strides. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 quickly set aside by Pelfrey in the 2nd.
Well, it's pretty comfortable when you, as a pitcher, guy can hit a bullet right over your head and you don't even have to look at it. You know it's a can of corn for your center fielder in this ballpark.
Here's Gabby Sanchez. 1 for 5 in the doubleheader yesterday. Hit a 9th inning home run off Bobby Parnell in game 1 for the only Marlin run in that game. Sanchez lifetime .368 against the Mets. And the curveball low and away for ball 1. Little flare into right field, and that falls for the first Florida hit. So Sanchez with a 2-out single.
A struggling Gabby Sanchez, hitting under 200 since the All-Star break. If you can believe that, folks. But a home run in the first game last night, and there a single. Just seems to, whenever there's blue and orange out there, he sees the ball very well.
Gabby is true to the orange and blue.
That's right.
Here's Mike Cameron, 2 for 4 last night. Started the year with the Red Sox. They let him go. Florida picked him up, and he's been playing almost every day for the Marlins at age 38.
Dobbs playing every day. Cameron playing every day.
It's an interesting call for a team that's, you know, moving into a new stadium next year.
Yeah.
It has some younger players that they'd like to develop. But, you know, they started out the year with Chris Coghlan in center field. He was making the transition from left, the former Rookie of the Year. And while Coghlan played pretty well in the outfield, he didn't hit. And he's been in the minor leagues now for several months. And they say he's having a very tough time down there.
Confidence.
Well, in fact, I was reading a story in the Miami paper the other day that Coghlan pulled himself out in the middle of the game after misplaying 4 or 5 balls in center field.
Wow.
He said he was having some discomfort with his knee, but really just gives you an idea that things have not gone well for him.
You have to lay on the couch. Sounds like you need Freud there.
Cameron fouls it back. You know, sometimes the Rookie of the Year is a curse.
It is. That's right. Joe Charbonneau. There's been many of them. But the thing about Coghlan is that you had to like his attitude when he first came up, but he's going to be, his footnote to his career is that he threw a pie in someone's face in a post-game interview, hurt his knee, was out for the rest of the year, and that's the last time we see him. I mean, that could be it.
I don't know what's worse, that or the Kendry Morales 2-year injury from jumping on home plate. celebratory injuries.
Throwing the helmet up in the air, I never liked that. That would get you a Chuck Feeney in your ribs the next time up, right, the next day.
Got to explain Chuck Feeney. No?
Chuck Feeney, folks, was the old National League president during our day.
So his name was on the baseball.
Right, and there's no longer a National League or American League presidents. Mr. Selig is the king and crown prince.
That's a strike to Cameron, 3-2. Well, there used to be two different baseballs. There was the Chuck Feeney baseball and the Lee McPhail baseball.
And what Keith is saying is that when they get drilled in the ribs, occasionally you'd look and you could see the imprint and maybe a little of the Chuck Feeney on the side.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did the American League ball have red print and the National League ball have navy, or am I wrong?
No, you're right.
3-2 to Cameron, and he just gets a piece. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it was Andy McPhail was the American League president most of the time when I played.
Lee McPhail,
excuse me. Andy's the son, correct? And Chubb was the National League president. And let me tell you, every All-Star game, the league presidents came in and had a talk with the team.
We gave you the Gipper
and gave you the got to win it.
They were like the GM of the All-Star team.
It was like that was a big thing. You were representing the National League.
Cameron skies one into shallow center. Turner calling as he goes, called off by Pagan. Side retired. A hit and one left. We go to the bottom of the second. No score at Citi Field.
No, that's a good question.
Jason Bay leads off in the home second, takes a strike.
Half hour, 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
From Manhattan to Sag Harbor?
Yeah.
They have the East Hampton Airport out there. I think that's the main one out there.
They could just land in your backyard.
Not enough room. When they have the seaplanes that you can take on the East River, you can take off and take a seaplane out. Well, it's out of my financial means right there on a daily basis.
Hey, if you'd work a few more games.
Maybe one's a homestand.
Nick Evans on deck, and then Josh Tolley for the Mets in the home second. Bay 0 for his last 13, 2 for his last 41. And the curveball he did not offer. Sheldon Colbreth with the call, 2-2. We showed in our open tonight Bay and Dave Hudgens by the batting cage, deep in conversation. Boy, wonder if you could count how many conversations those two have had this year trying to find a way home for Bay. He's had a few hot streaks. You know, that 3-week stretch mid-June to early July, 2-week stretch late July, early August, but each time he is sunk back into the morass.
Well, what did General Grant say, U.S. Grant? He never liked meetings with his generals because if I met with all my generals, we'd never fight. So I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just been such a tough time for Jason.
Strike 3 called. Vasquez finds the inside corner, and Bay is down looking. First strikeout for Javier Vasquez.
And I believe this has got the corner.
Oh, yeah. Another frustrating at bat for Jason Bay.
Well, that's black right there. Well, there's no longer any black on the plate, Ronnie, which is inside corner.
The imaginary black. Well, here's the red hot Nick Evans. 10 hits in his last 17 at bats. Just raging hot. He's got his average up to 300 for the year. 4 more hits yesterday in the doubleheader.
Well, ever since that game in Philadelphia when Nick didn't swing the bat and struck out with the bases loaded on 3 fastballs, he has just been swinging the bat and getting results. He's been terrific. It's nice to see. Nick's a good kid. I shouldn't say kid, good young man.
And he is Cholulu who's hot.
The wooden cap.
Iconic.
Oh.
Well, Evans is getting to play as a byproduct of the Mets looking at Lucas Duda in right field. So, you know, it's almost as though he slipped in the back door to some playing time, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you get your opportunity, if you can run with it, sometimes those opportunities keep presenting themselves. Bounce behind the bag at third, and Dobbs inspects it and throws 2 out. Always harken back to the Mike Jacobs debut with the Mets when he hit the pinch hit home run and managed to stay on the team and hit 4 home runs in 4 days and became a fixture.
That was in Arizona, correct?
Mike Jacobs this year has had the ignominious fall of being the first player to test positive for HGH while playing in the minor leagues. It was immediately released by Colorado after being banned for 50 games.
What did he say? It was taking it to get past injuries or whatever.
That's what they usually say.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice curveball.
You know, when I think about those older teams, Gary, Lenny Dykstra got a chance to get called up to big leagues because Mookie hurt his shoulder. It's the only reason he was called up.
By the way, I have some information for you, Keith. Hamptons to Manhattan, 40 minutes. Price between $400 and $600. Is that round trip or
Round trip?
One way.
I told you it was 40 minutes.
So that would cost me in a 10-day homestand around close to 10 grand. Oh yeah. Let me just go make a phone call.
But you know, maybe if you sign a couple of baseballs.
A couple hundred.
They might be able to sell extra tickets if you're on the flight.
Maybe I can say, hey, if I got 4 tickets to a Met game, we can parlay here.
It's kind of like the dinner Thursday night that people bid on to have dinner with you. Strike 3 called. Toley's down looking. Second strikeout for Vasquez, who has himself a 1-2-3 inning. After 2 at Citi Field, Mets and Marlins, no score. Brought to you by Brooklyn Burger, the premium steakhouse burger and the official burger of the New York Mets. Be sure to visit Keith's Grill at Citi Field, located on the field level behind section 132, to enjoy Keith Hernandez's favorite Brooklyn Burger.
And the Tootsie Pop goes with it. Gary, what was your favorite flavor? The grape.
Grape is good to go with the Mex Burger.
Now the Mex Burger, what's on it? Cheese,
jalapeno,
Jalapenos and a little guacamole.
Guacamole.
Very, very Latin flavor.
I want to know, are we having the burgers from Keith's Grill at our dinner Thursday night?
That would be wonderful.
I mean, fans are paying top dollar to have dinner with us Thursday night. You would think they would be treated to only the best in ballpark fare.
A top dollar or top dollar?
The top dollar.
Oh, okay.
Driven to left by Buck, and hey, with a nice diving grab. Well, no matter how poorly the bat has gone for Bay, the defense has remained.
There's no question about it, and he runs everything out. He's been very professional, and a lot of lesser men would have take their offense out into the field with them, but not Jason. Nice play.
So one hard out and nobody on. Now Javier Vasquez, a very good hitting pitcher. It's a lifetime 206 hitter with 1 home run, and he takes a strike.
Javier in 41 at bats this year has only struck out 6 times.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's R.A. Dickey-like. Slow ground ball. Vasquez slams down the bat in frustration. How often do you see a pitcher do that?
Well, you know why? Because it got in his cocina, in his kitchen, and jammed his thumb, and that did not feel very good.
Now look, folks, this is where the pots and pans are in the kitchen. Oh, it's on the end. Did he get it on the end?
I don't know, but he didn't like it. When you're having a bat like that, it's better to run into the dugout. You don't want to delay it.
What is on the top of his helmet?
It's like rosin or snow. Bonifacio struck out looking his first time up. That slow curveball from Pelfrey. Bonifacio, 33 infield hits this year, the most in the National League. And so the corners are always in against Bonifacio. It was really taken off since Jack McKeon took over as skipper. Now 2 strikes, so the corners moved back. Pelfrey in his last start, he just had a terrible slog through the first few innings against the Phillies. Did well to hang around for 6 and threw 125 pitches in that game. Strike 3 called against Bonifacio, looking for the second time. 1-2-3 go the Marlins. Still no score. question. We asked which 3 Mets led off a World Series game with a home run, and each time it was Game 3. Tommy Agee in '69 at Shea, Wayne Garrett in '73 at Shea, and Lenny Dykstra in '86 at Fenway. Now the Mets have played only 4 World Series. Mike Pelfrey leads off. The other World Series they played was in 2000. Timo Perez led off the first inning at Yankee Stadium against Del Duque and struck out. In fact, Del Duque struck out the side in the first. But Robin Ventura led off the second inning with a home run. So he was just an inning late.
Well, let's add a little here since Pelf is up. Dykstra is off Oil Can Boyd. Agee was off
McNally? No.
Game 3 would have been Cuellar.
Mike Cuellar. And then how about Wayne Garrett's in '73? Do we know?
Wasn't Holtzman?
No.
I can look it up easily enough.
The fish? Catfish?
No, Catfish
Vida?
won, didn't he?
Vida?
Blue Moon?
Strike 3 as Pelfrey is out. Third strikeout for Vasquez. By the way, I said Game 3 in 2000 was at Shea, not at Yankee Stadium. Garrett was against Catfish.
Catfish, okay.
Because Holtzman pitched Game 1 and Vida pitched Game 2.
I was just thinking because Catfish, if he had any Achilles heel, it was the home run ball.
They beat Vida in Game 2, didn't they? Gary?
Yes, well, they didn't beat Vida. It was the 10-inning game, wasn't it?
But they held
12-inning game.
That was Vida's great year.
Agee was against Palmer. Game 3. This Cuellar went Game 1, McNally Game 2, and then Palmer Game 3.
McNally hit a bomb in Game 2. He hit a home run.
Reyes hits one out to center, and Cameronese is back. 2 out. McNally hit a home run, but I think that was in Game 5.
Game 5.
He hit off Kuzma.
Well, they had 2 soft tossing left-handers, didn't they? McNally and Cuellar. Cuellar had the screwball. McNally had that big, slow hook.
McNally, I think, was it the next year against the Reds? He had a grand slam in the World Series.
And he was very unusual. We talk about players. He was a left-handed pitcher and a right-handed hitter.
Here's Turner. Well, how else was he going to hit one off Kuzma?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That was the year with the 420 game winners?
No, that was 71.
That's right.
Dobson.
Pat Dobson. He was a changeup thrower.
Turner grounded out to second base his first trip.
That's right. The 5th starter for Baltimore was Tom Phoebus in '69, I believe.
They had great pitching.
He didn't start in the World Series.
No, he did not.
They only used, I think they only used the 3 because they brought back Cuellar in Game 4. He matched up against Seaver. That was the one the Mets won on the J.C. Martin bunt in the 10th. Line to left, and Morrison is there to retire Turner and end the inning. That's 8 in a row retired by Javier Vasquez. After 3, Mets and Marlins no score. Let's go to the Verizon studios for an update from Matt Cerrone of Mets Blog, presented by Verizon. fourth inning, Greg Dobbs leads off against Mike Pelfrey. No score. Each team with only one hit. Dobbs grounded out to second base his first time up and takes a strike. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, guys, obviously last night that really horrible scene with the 10-year-old boy that was hit by a line drive here at Citi Field. And you know, Greg Dobbs, think about how he felt hitting that. He's got a 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old at home. He was pretty emotional about it. And I talked to him today, and he did something that, you know, I don't know that everybody would have done, as he grounds out here to Turner, one away. He, after the game last night, first of all, he went down and was with the child last night here. Then he called the parents later to get a checkup on how he was doing. And then this morning asked the parents to call him again. They did. In that conversation, he said, I didn't want to intrude on their family personal space, but I asked if it would be all right if I could come to the hospital and see him. So he went to the hospital, spent about an hour and a half of time with them. He did have a fractured nose. But it looked like, from what the doctors are saying, that he could be released tonight. They kept him overnight for observation, but he was very shaken. He said, I got to spend some time with him, and that made me feel better, that it seemed like he was going to be okay. But you know, tough thing after seeing that and after being a dad for Dobbs. But I think what he did was pretty good today too, guys.
Well, I know the Mets were concerned as well after the young man got hit, and you know, Justin Turner went over after the game and gave the family his uniform to give to the boy. But it's nice to hear he's going to be okay. But yeah, that doesn't mitigate the fact that, gosh, if you are sitting close to the action, especially in one of these newer ballparks where the seats are so close to the field, you have really got to pay attention. Stanton, it's a rope into center field for a base hit. Second hit off Pelfrey.
Well,
and you know, if you have little kids and you're sitting close, you need to sit next to your little kid so that if, God forbid, a ball does come toward you at a rapid pace, you know, you can protect your child.
And bring a glove too if you're bringing your young children. Bring a glove and be ready to flash some leather.
Logan Morrison, the batter, grounded out to first base his first time up. You know, it probably wouldn't have applied in the situation last night, but there have been cries occasionally when fans have gotten hit by batted balls to extend the screening behind home plate to at least beyond the dugouts to try to protect some of the people who are in harm's way.
Well, they do it in the Japanese leagues, of course. And I do have to say, though, kudos to Mr. Dobbs for taking the extra time out and going above and beyond the Call of Duty. I think that says a lot about his character.
You know, Gary, something you said. I mean, you know, I walk around these stadiums all the time, and I see, you know, people that don't always pay attention. I think the scary thing is, though, I think there are certain instances like last night, even if you are paying attention, that I don't know if you could react quick enough. I don't know if people can appreciate how fast that ball is going, you know?
Yeah, and frankly, the area last night where the young man got hit, which was in those stands beyond the first base dugout where the stands turn to kind of face home plate,
yeah,
that's a vulnerable place because you get a pull hitter like Dobbs. It's not quite like, you know, we think about balls that go behind the dugout on check swing. Those are coming fairly hard, but when you get a rocket like that, now you're talking about a ball coming at a really fast pace. It's hard to react to.
You know, one of the things when I have friends here, when they go down on the field to watch the Mets, or in this case the Marlins, take batting practice, one of the things they always tell me, and when I said, how was batting practice? I can't believe how fast the ball is moving. And that's the truth.
Well, that's true. Sitting up here, you don't really appreciate the speed we're watching on TV, certainly. 3-2. Stanton runs. Morrison hits the grounder to second, so running the runner on 3-2 keeps them out of the double play. Morrison retired for the second out. Stanton now at second base. So a chance for Omar Infante with a runner in scoring position. The Marlins were inept with runners in scoring position yesterday. They went 0 for 10 in the second game last night. Infante flying to center his first time up. As was the case when Infante faced Dickey in the first game yesterday. He has some ungodly numbers against Pelfrey. Here you see his numbers with runners in scoring position, much better than last month. But even after flying out his first time up, he's hitting well over 500 against Pelfrey. 15 for 27. Slider away. 2-0.
This is where Mike in his development, maybe not with Infante, has to do this, but gets to a certain point where he can just throw a little slider, a little dart for a strike, where Infante's got to take it. He's sitting all over the fastball here. Very nice.
Did you call that pitch?
That's pitching. Love it.
Well, one thing that's noticeable tonight, unlike the last start for Pelfrey, when he and Tolley were in constant conversation, they seem to be a little more on the same page.
Now it opens up anything. Fastball away. Fastball in would be a great pitch here. Got him leaning over the plate.
Well, if he's going to do a 2-0 run, he can do it 3-1.
That's right.
Do you like to have a string and a couple of tin cans?
This is all the things that I didn't do, so I'm just trying to channel what I wish I would have done.
So what's he going to do now?
Fastball now, because he's already set in his head he can throw a 2-1 slider. He can throw a 3-1 fastball now.
Infante takes it. 3-2.
Omar. Come here, let me talk to you.
I think that 2011 is going to be best remembered by us as the year of the 3-1 fastball down the middle taken for a strike, because it's happening everywhere to every team.
Looking for a slider.
It's the paralysis by analysis. Wright moving to his left has got it and flings it over to Evans in time, and Pelfrey gets around some trouble in the fourth. 3 ground ball outs. No score at Citi Field.
That was great.
Giants can't get all your insider info and heated debate on the top New York sports stories of the day from Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouths. All part of the New York Sports Local, weekdays starting at 5 only on SNY. David Wright leading off in the home 4th inning. David drew a walk his first time up. Since that walk, Javier Vasquez has retired 8 in a row. The Mets lit up Vasquez the first time they saw him in the opening series of the year in Florida, knocked him out in the 3rd inning. Vasquez gave up 7 runs in that game. But as his season turned, so did Vasquez's performance against the Mets. Last time he faced them on August 1st, he allowed just 1 run in 7 innings. And he has been durable. Not always successful in New York while pitching in the Bronx. Slow curve missing, but always able to take the ball.
Well, no one's thrown more innings than Vasquez since 2000, since Livan Hernandez was throwing tonight. Got a 2-1 lead in Atlanta. That in the top of the 4th.
Going up against Jair Jurgens there. Swing and a miss, and Wright is down on strike. That's 4 strikeouts for Vasquez. Mets had a chance against Vasquez in the 1st inning. They had 1st and 3rd and 1 out, couldn't score, and they haven't had a base runner since.
It's the best I've seen him throw in a while. He's got good life. Ronnie, his motion, he doesn't generate much with his body, does he? He's kind of real quick, straight up.
Yeah, he's all arm. He's a little bit like Tim Hudson, and he generates a lot of his release late. Very casual in the beginning, and it speeds it up at the end.
Nice curve there. He has no take back with his foot. You know, like Ryan would take that back step. They like to get that motion going.
There's a little stutter step almost.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything.
It looks like he's jumping at it. Duda flying to right his first time up. And Vasquez had a funny career. I mean, you know, he's had some really good years. I mean, 2 years ago in Atlanta, he was as good as anybody in the league. Then he goes to the Yankees and has a not so good year and gets off to a terrible start this year, and he looks like he's done. And now in the 2nd half, he's kicked it back in gear.
Well, it's interesting. He's had a lot of things thrown his way. I remember when he was with the White Sox, the manager there dropped it on him that he couldn't pitch in big games. He's got that same reputation when he pitched for the Yankees. I don't believe it. I think he's been an awfully good pitcher for a long time. You don't get the kind of numbers that he's going to get, nearing on 2,500 strikeouts. Those are the teams that he's been with, unless you can pitch. He's played with some average teams.
He was the mainstay of that Expos rotation for 6 years at the start of his career. And, you know, one of those guys that you saw early in his career and you thought, this guy's going to be a big star.
Yeah.
He's been a very good pitcher, but he's been a 500 pitcher for his career.
Tell you what, he's airing it out here. Stone Duda 4 straight fastballs. He's got
Duda hits it out to left. Easy for Morrison. 2 out.
We'll put it in perspective, maybe his career. You saw that 159 and 160. You know, Big Pelf is pitching today, would have to win 109 more games. That's a lot of career right there.
Here's Pagan with 2 out and nobody on. Angel flying to left in the opening inning.
just throwing fastballs, Ronnie.
Driven to left, and there's Morrison. Side retired. 11 straight retired by Vasquez. On to the 5th. No score. 84 miles an hour. Mike Pelfrey at 96. Marlins have 2 hits. The Mets have 1. Another well-pitched game tonight. Gabby Sanchez leads off in the 5th inning. Mets have been getting superb starting pitching this last time around the rotation. It started with the way Pelfrey closed his appearance against the Phillies last week. And Capuano pitched the gem of gems on Friday night. And then the Mets got 2 good starts yesterday from Dickey and G. And that's what it all adds up to. And Pelfrey keeping the line moving so far tonight. Sanchez singled to right his first trip. And that's just below the knees. 1 and 2. Mike Cameron on deck. Then John Buck for the Marlins in the 5th. The now Florida, soon to be Miami Marlins. Moving into their new retractable roof stadium next year.
Are they going to change the colors of their uniforms, or probably stay with the? I know they've changed them a little anyway, but.
Well, they used to wear teal.
No, teal, yeah.
Ball 3 to Sanchez.
Another Hall of Famer right there, Andre Dawson. Yep. So much, I guess they rescinded that rule.
Andre the Hawk on the right and Tony Perez on the left. Pretty good combination right there.
The joy of pitching against those two.
Tony was quite the clutch hitter.
Oh man, he was in the end of his career, incredible breaking ball hitter. And Hawk, just the breeze of his swing was menacing and scary.
3-2 to Sanchez, and Gabby grounds one down to third. A grass cutter to right. 1 away. Mike Cameron coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, guys, we've been talking on the broadcast about the Pepsi Max Field of Dreams. You've got 2 more days to vote for it. It's at MLB.com/Pepsi Max. The reason why you would want to vote, because there's a real neat opportunity. You vote for each position and who is the dream team, essentially. Mike Piazza's in on the voting, and if you're a Met fan, you get entered into a drawing that essentially that dream team can come to your town and play you in a game. So how cool would that be if you're a Mets fan and Piazza and company and a bunch of Hall of Famers essentially come and play in ball? I mean, that would be just perfect. So again, it's MLB.com/Pepsi Max. 2 more days to vote, fellas.
Can you imagine what that would be like?
Pretty amazing, right? Giving up a seed to Andre.
Come out, Randy Johnson throwing at your head. You can be like John Kruk. Cameron drives one to right, and Duda is there to grab it. 2 out.
Kruk, or who's the other guy? Larry Walker in the All-Star game that put the helmet on the other way and went from the right side.
Now John Buck bats with 2 out and nobody on. Buck in a screaming liner to left his first time up, and Bay made a nice lunging catch. Remember, it was Buck who hit the grand slam against Pelfrey on opening day this year. Pelfrey was matched up against Josh Johnson on opening night in Florida. And Buck snapped a scoreless tie by hitting one out to right center in Florida with the bases full. Then he hit another grand slam this past weekend against the Phillies on Friday night.
Well, he's had a nice offensive year. His average is down, but 16 home runs and 52 RBIs is pretty good from your catching spot.
This is basically what they expected from Buck. This is the kind of season that he had in Toronto.
He was expendable, of course, because they wanted to give Aaron Sibia a chance to catch over there in Toronto, and he's had a nice rookie season.
A couple of years ago, of course, the Marlins thought they had their catching answer in John Baker, but he has been unable to come back from, I guess it was Tommy John's surgery.
Tommy John.
Now Pelfrey's 2-2, and Buck bounces one foul.
8 outs so far from Pelf on the ground. That's a great sign.
And that's kind of been the trend. You know, the long ball was killing Pelfrey until very recently. And now all of a sudden he's getting the ball down. He's got a little more sink. And he's back to being that ground ball pitcher again. He's now gone 37 consecutive innings without allowing a home run. 3-2 to Buck. Just inside. And Buck draws a 2-out walk. First walk given up by Pelfrey. And that'll clear the pitcher spot for the Marlins here in the 5th. With Vasquez coming up. Vasquez grounded out to third his first time up.
Beautiful job by Josh Thole there. You know, there's been times when he struggled behind there. Nice to point out when he does it perfectly.
I'm just as impressed with the level of trust that Pelfrey is showing in Thole tonight.
Trust, and we've seen Pelfrey a lot like Capuano 4 days ago, pitching much quicker than he did in Philadelphia. Not a lot of stalking around the mound, getting it and delivering it.
Good pitching, Mike. 2 fastballs inside corner, boring in on the hands of the right-hand hitter. Very nice. Remember this, bottle it.
Strike 3 call. Gets Vasquez looking. Strikeout number 3 for Pelfrey. Works around his first walk of the night. Halfway through, no score. Fifth inning recap. It's been all pitching tonight. Mike Pelfrey and Javier Vasquez both on top of their game. Mets have had just the 1 hit. Reyes led off the first inning with a single. Marlins have managed just 2 singles, Sanchez and Stanton, and that's been it. Jason Bay will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th against Vasquez, who's now retired 11 Mets in a row. Bay was caught looking his first time up. It'll be Bay, then Evans and Thole for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th. In Detroit tonight, Doug Fister for the Tigers had a perfect game through 6 innings. That's over. Alex Gordon led off the 7th with a double for Kansas City, and he just came home with the game's first run. So he lost the no-hitter and the shutout, and now he's behind in the game. Which is, you know, what Fister thought he had left behind when he went from Seattle to Detroit. He figured he was with a team that might actually score some runs for him.
Have you seen Fister throw a lot? He throws a little bit like Jared Weaver of the Los Angeles Angels. Kind of across his body. Good slider.
Nothing in 2 in May.
Boy, Keith, when you are struggling, it seems like the count is 0-2 before you even get in the box, huh?
You can just see the body language.
Two from Vasquez, and the curveball hit out toward right center field. Chasing it, Cameron, and he makes the sliding grab. The Gold Glover Mike Cameron with a nice play, 1 out.
Well, gets a good jump on this ball. He's calling it already. He knows he's got it.
We saw a lot of this for a couple of years when Mike Cameron was Met. Of course, the second of those years he was playing right field. The Mets acquired Carlos Beltran in 05, and that was a little uncomfortable for Cameron, who certainly never fancied himself anything but a center fielder. Here's Nick Evans with 1 out. Of course, that season ended horribly for Cameron with that terrible collision he had with Beltran in San Diego that cost him the last 5 weeks of the season.
2005.
Yeah.
That was the year.
Good curveball by Vasquez, 0-2. Boy, he's right on his game.
He sure is. As I said earlier, this is the best I've seen him throw in a long while since with the Braves.
Trouble throwing strikes in the first inning, but no trouble since. Quickly ahead 0-2 on Evans. And he goes low and away with the slider.
Someone's got to talk him out of retirement. I know that he's talked about it. He's just thrown too good to take it to the house.
Well, if he plans to retire, he's certainly working on going out on a high note. Good off-speed breaking ball, and he strikes out Evans. Boy, really pulled the string on that curveball. 5 strikeouts now for Vasquez.
Why it works for Vasquez, he's got a lot of motion. You see lots of arms and legs and a real quick motion, and then the ball never gets there.
Well, interesting, Ronnie. We mentioned earlier how he was just throwing fastball after fastball. But the book on Evans is curveball. He just fed Evans a steady diet of breaking stuff.
Spin it.
13 in a row retired by Vasquez. Now Josh Tolle went down looking his first time, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
See that first pitch fastball to Tolle. Instead of throwing a 93, 94, take a little off, run it away at 89.
Line to the right on a base hit for Tolle. So after Vasquez had retired 13 in a row, Tolle snaps that with a 2-out single. Just the Mets' second hit.
Change up here had too much plate. Down out of the strike zone as far as elevation, but over the middle where Josh can get the barrel of the bat on it. Stayed back nicely.
Tolle's interesting, isn't he? He gets a lot of out of the strike zone bad ball hits.
Here's Pelfrey, who struck out his first time up.
Well, the IOTV pitch differential, and you can see it's out of the strike zone, but too much middle.
So if nothing else, that'll get the Mets past the pitcher spot, and Reyes lead off the next inning.
Tell you what, nice crowd tonight. These diehard Met fans, I love them.
And they love you back.
Well, not every last one of them.
I think if we took a poll, you'd be way ahead.
Yes.
Well, we don't have to go that far, do we?
You don't want the text poll?
I'm fearful.
Well, we have 30 games to go in the season. You never know what might show up in that text poll. Especially now that we've planted the seed.
That's right. Hopefully, I have enough self-esteem where I can survive this.
Plow through it. By the way, I think you do.
He'll end up doing a Sally Field speech.
That's right.
Pelfrey bounces one behind the bag.
Oh.
Tough play for Dobbs to make on a hop.
Wow.
Got him. Boy, Dobbs took his time and made the nice one-hop throw to Sanchez, and Pelfrey is out at first base. Pretty play by Dobbs, not noted for his defense. Scoreless game after 5. Available in HD, presented by IOTV, and you can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 2 more games to go in this series the next 2 nights. Then the Mets go to DC for 3 and to Florida for 3 before coming home to play that makeup doubleheader with the Braves on the 8th, and then that big series with the Cubs. Emilio Bonifacio leads off the 6th inning, and bluffing the bunt against Pelfrey takes ball 1. Let's check in with Kevin.
How important is pacing in a game? And we've talked about it a lot. You guys spent a lot of time talking about today and Mike Pelfrey's last start when guys on base when he loses that pacing. I talked to Josh Toley in just a broad conversation about it today, not necessarily focusing on Pelfrey, but in terms of every pitcher. And he said, look, it's huge. You know, everyone is more into the game. Offense, defense, as Pagan lines this one up from Bonifacio, 1 down. He said there's no doubt when pacing is better, everyone's more into the game, and it's better for everybody. He said, but I think what really gets lost is when the pacing is bad, when you're going, 35, 40 seconds between pitches, it's almost pointless to set up a pitch, because if you're going, a minute and a half between a couple pitches, it kind of defeats the sequence. That's what really gets lost here. So it's something that he thinks is very important. It's something that was evident in Capuano's outing, certainly on Friday night. And you could say Dickey does that all the time as well. But pacing, a huge issue. And clearly it is with Mike, who's in a good pace tonight, guys.
And did you find that to be the case, Ronnie? If you're trying to set up a hitter and you're trying to get from this pitch to that pitch, if there's more time between pitches, does it lose its effect?
It loses its effect. You start to get frustrated, Gary. That's what happens. You'll be standing on the mound It's a comeback here for Mike for the second out. You'll be standing on the mound and you'll be wondering, how does he not get this? Come on, let's go. Let's snap to it. And sometimes it's a difficult day for the catcher, just like it's a difficult day for the pitcher. But Terry Collins made an interesting point, and that is that he thinks Tolle has improved in this way, and that he's starting to really capture his pitcher's strengths instead of always going off the game plan and the hitter's weaknesses. Let your pitcher's strengths rule the day.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are very few hitters who you have to cater to in terms of staying away from their strengths. I mean, you know, if you're facing, as Stanton hits another rope, that may be one of the guys. That's his second hard hit single of this game, only the third hit off Pelfrey. I mean, there are only a few guys that you have to think, okay, this is the ball he likes. I have to stay away from that pitch.
Yeah, like a Pujols, guys like that, you have to really worry about. The rest of the hitters, you have to have the inner confidence that my stuff is better than yours. If I execute the pitch, you're going to make it out.
But at the same time, with what we've seen the last few days, it really appears as though the pitchers are making a conscious effort not to shake Tolle off as much. And I don't know whether it's just coincidence, but we saw with Capuano the other night. We're seeing it again with Pelfrey today.
Yeah, and I think that's what's resulted is this fine pitching. Let Pelfrey call the game. Let Tolle call the game. And okay, you're going to have occasional shake off here and there. Mike shook off maybe 3 or 4 times already today. But concentrate on the execution of the pitch. There's a couple shake-offs.
But quickly.
Yep.
You know, Ronnie, your point about what Terry was saying about Josh today, also in the conversation with him, I asked him about that, what Terry was talking about. He said, you know, sometimes with all the things available to us today, with all the scouting reports and all the binders, you just have to really trust what you see as the game's unfolding.
And a lot of times, too, Ron, you can get into the blame game. You know, when things don't go right.
Yep.
You know what? This is what you got to work with. Work with it. And, you know, too many times, I'm not saying in this situation, but if things go poorly, excuse here, excuse there, get your heads together and get on the same page. And I think it's a learning process for Tolle.
Stanton runs. Tolle's throw on a hop, and Reyes loses the ball. And Stanton has a stolen base, only his 5th of the year.
Well, good time to steal. Not a very quick slide into that base.
Such a big man. He didn't get very low. Watch when he slides. His body is halfway up.
He slowed down.
Jack McKeon has said that he thinks that Mike Stanton can be a 30-30 guy, but he's got to learn a little bit of technique. So he's in scoring position with 2 down. 2-1 the count to Morrison, who's grounded out twice. Scoreless game in the 6th inning. Mike coming up with that fastball, and it's 2-2.
This is where you got to use your head now. You got a 0-0 game. You got a 2-1 pitch there. Pelfrey definitely got away with that pitch. That was right in the zone for Morrison. He missed it. Good. But you have a base open, not that you want to, but you want to make sure that Morrison has a swing at a pitch that he cannot put in play and hit it hard.
Splitter blown away, and it's 3-2.
My feeling is Morrison's the guy I want to go after and get with Infante in the on-deck circle in the 5th spot. Even though it's righty-righty, that's a veteran hitter down there that's had success off Mike. And you've got a Morrison coming in here that really hasn't swung the bat well. He's a low ball hitter.
Morrison just 2 for 15 in his career against Pelfrey, as opposed to those big numbers Infante had. Up and in, ball 4. And so Morrison draws the walk. Second one given up by Pelfrey. We check in with the studio. Chris Carlin has a New York State Smokers quit line game break. Halladay cruising, allowing just 1 hit so far. Phillies going for their 85th win of the year tonight. So here's Infante with 2 out and 2 on. He had a chance with a runner in scoring position in the 4th, and Pelfrey got him to ground out to 3rd.
Let's see how they go after him. This is obviously a critical part of the game right here.
Well, Pagan's playing very shallow. I like that. Bay on the pull side a little deeper. Duda would be nice. He came in just a little bit. Infante doesn't have. He hits the ball to right field, but not a lot of power to right field. You want to have a play at the plate if you can on a base hit.
I would have to think it would be awfully hard for Lucas Duda at this point in his development to feel comfortable playing very shallow.
I think he's in the mode of playing in one place right now, not moving around too much.
Marlins just looking for a big hit from anybody. There are only 2 runs in this series and come on solo home run. Pelfrey, who's been ahead of the count most of the night, behind his 2nd straight hitter, 2-0. And Infante fouls off the high fastball.
Well, taking his chances. Pitched a hit for Infante. Might have been out of the strike zone. But I like the fact that Mike's 2-0 and going after him. He's got more chances of getting away with bad placement of a fastball, particularly when you throw as hard as Mike, than you do throwing a breaking ball.
Now on 2-1, Infante watches high, and it's 3-1. We peeked in on that Phillies game a moment ago.
Yeah.
Rich kid Richard moment. Halladay, bases loaded double, 3 more runs.
16th win for Halladay.
I know it only seems like they win every day, but
That's because they do. Infante ahead of the count, 3-1. 2 on and 2 out. Popped up foul. Pelfrey keeps coming after him with high fastball.
when Infante is right, usually doesn't miss those high fastballs. He's a tremendous high ball hitter.
8th full count of the game for Pelfrey. He's walked 2, struck out 3, allowed just 3 hits. He has his biggest out of the night to secure right here. Runners get set to go. Stanton at second, Morrison at first. To Infante, and he walked him, and the bases are full. So back-to-back walks issued by Pelfrey after the 2-out single by Stanton. Dan Warthen will pay a visit before Pelfrey goes after Gabby Sanchez.
Well, Kevin was mentioning pacing before. What happens in these situations when you get men on base and it's 0-0 and you're trying to preserve any run coming across, that pacing gets slower. As it's gotten slower, Mike's found it a little tougher to throw strikes.
Nothing slows down pacing more than pacing.
That's right. Well, of course Sanchez is going to be up with the bases loaded.
Ryote Igarashi will begin to loosen in the Mets bullpen. Pelfrey up to 94 pitches. Remember, he threw 125 in his last start against the Phillies. He has had 1 extra day of rest, pitching on 5 days rest rather than 4.
You know, we saw Adrian Johnson coming up to break up that meeting between Dan Warth and Josh Tolley and Mike Pelfrey. Adrian Johnson has had an amazing game behind the plate. It's been spot on.
Well, Met killer in a slump in a big spot. Gabby Sanchez.
Sanchez has 4 home runs this year against the Mets. 1 for 2 tonight. Single to right, grounded to third. Bases loaded, 2 out. And Sanchez takes a strike.
I just think right now Sanchez, I've seen him now through this series. It looks to me he's taking that outside corner pitch and fastballs, and that just must look like that outside corner must be 15 yards away. Just keep it away on him.
plate, and it's 1-1. Well, those were Sanchez's numbers against the Mets coming into the night.
25 RBI in 34 games.
And a lot of big hits. It's only his second major league season. Ties him up, but it missed inside. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, this is party time here, Keith.
Well, you know, I don't mind that pitch. It's 2-1 to hitter's count, and bases are loaded. But you can't live on the outside corner. It gave him something to think about there, and I think he's probably going to go back away, Ron. And we'll see how Sanchez approaches it.
From this point, Pelfrey should concentrate on down, not how hard he throws. Keep the ball down, get a ground ball.
Popped up, shallow right. Duda coming in. Turner going out. Turner calling. Side retired. Pelfrey works out of a bases loaded mess in the 6th. Mets allowed the top of the batting order coming up in the bottom with the game still scoreless. Brought to you by Pepsi Max Field of Dreams. You can play ball with MLB greats. Visit MLB.com/Pepsi Max to learn more. People are talking about Hyundai Uncensored. See what they're saying at Hyundai.com. And by Dunkin' Donuts. To get dunked, go to www.getdunked.com. Well, nothing says fall like apple cider. And it's the perfect autumn treat, don't you think?
What do we got back here?
Well, those, of course, are the new donuts on the Dunkin' Donut menu. Should we bring them forward so people can see?
Well, can I give it a taste?
It's a cake donut, the caramel apple donut. Cake donut with a hint of caramel, apple flavor, and cinnamon sugar on the outside. And it goes very nicely with the apple cider, available hot or iced, for a limited time at your neighborhood Dunkin' Donuts.
Putting it back in?
Very fallen.
You didn't put that back in the box, did you?
No, I took my bite.
1-1 to Reyes, leading off the home 6th. Reyes is 1 for 2 at a base hit, leading off the first inning. Stole second, got to third on a ground out, but the Mets could not get him home. And Javier Vasquez since then has really kicked it into gear, retired 14 of the last 15. 2-1 to Jose, and he takes a strike. 2-2.
Vasquez is pumping that fastball outside corner on left-hand hitters all night.
He has struck out 5, walked 1, allowed no runs and 2 hits. 2-2 to Reyes, up and away, and a full count to Jose. And of course Vasquez would like nothing less than to walk Reyes to start the inning. So you figure Jose gets a pretty good pitch to hit here.
I would say the odds are it's a fastball away.
And it's foul away.
They're shaking their head to Jose. That's happened all game to the Mets hitters. Vasquez, that ball must jump on you because there have been a lot of swing and misses, swing and foul tips of the ball up in the strike zone, out of the strike zone.
Vasquez's pitch count still very low. He's only at 82 pitches for the night.
They used to say Keith sneaky fast. I think that's what Vasquez is.
Again, the 3-2 to Reyes. Line to short. Nice catch by Bonifacio. One away.
Well, nice at bat, nice swing, Jose. Once it leaves your bat, nothing you can do.
So Vasquez has retired the leadoff hitter in 5 straight innings now. Now he'll take on Turner, who has grounded to second and lined out to left. Fastball on the outside edge. Turner left with a lingering gaze. David Wright waiting on deck. Well, we have seen some fine exhibitions of pitching on this homestand, starting with Capuano on Friday night. 2 balls and a strike to Turner.
Ronnie, could a pitcher have a little lapse after, obviously a very big out here in the bottom of the 6th? Get Reyes, all your focus is on, I can't let Reyes get on base, and you can lose your focus.
Absolutely. I think that's happened the first few pitches here to Turner. Again, a pitch, I think that's up and out of the strike zone, offered at by Justin. What's interesting about Vasquez, out of the windup, when he throws his fastball, his hand comes out of his glove a little bit. And I just don't know if the hitters can see that. But he paps the glove and the ball comes out of the top of his glove, his fingers. Maybe you can't see it enough.
Well, he grew up in Puerto Rico watching the Braves on TV, watching Greg Maddux pat his glove.
That's right.
Although Vasquez, growing up in Puerto Rico, was an infielder, and his hero was Robbie Alomar.
Alomar, the years I played against him, early 90s, when he played for Toronto.
Sharply toward the middle. Infante on the backhand makes it look easy. 2 out.
Alomar was the finest player in the American League in the early 90s. Just made every play, hit .330, and could take you deep when you have to.
Tomorrow night, game 4 of this 5-game series. Chris Capuano will try and back up his 2-hit gem from Friday night as he takes on Chris Volstad and the Marlins. 6:30 the coverage right here on SNY. There had been some talk about Capuano being pushed back, but Terry Collins made the decision that Capuano, despite 122 pitches, could go on normal rest tomorrow. So Miguel Batista will make his Mets debut on Thursday night.
How would you change a thing? Capuano coming off that game is as fit as anyone in the Mets clubhouse.
Yep.
Keep it going.
Well, he had a game for the ages on Friday night. 2-hitter, no walks, 13 strikeouts.
I mean,
David takes the curveball down 1.
Gary, there's been what, a handful of games that have been better than that in Mets history?
Well, there's Seaver.
Ryan had a big game, right? 15 punch outs. How about the Bobby Jones 1-hitter in the playoffs, maybe?
Well, that was certainly of great import, but not as dominant in terms of strikeouts. I mean, the thing that made Capuano special was all the strikeouts and no walks.
There you go.
And the Mets have had 34 1-hitters, but very very few of them as dominant as the 2-hitter that Capuano threw. Here's the 1-2 to right, and the breaking ball fouled off.
Dropped down a little Vasquez there. In the previous at bat, he had dropped down on David and thrown a fastball up and away. That struck him out. That time dropped down and threw a little slider.
He's got all the tricks. At age 35. David lines one to center. Cameron coming on, reaching, he trapped it. And right is aboard with a base hit. Just the third man hit. Nice effort by Cameron, has already made a sliding catch in this game.
Just can't get there. Short hopped it.
Interesting about Cameron, as he's approaching that ball, he was lowering his frame to get in position to dive for that ball. That takes some talent.
So right is at first with 2 down, and now Lucas Duda. We were showing the rookie home run leaders in the National League earlier tonight. Danny Espinosa just hit his 19th for Washington, leading National League rookies.
Espinosa's had a funny year, hasn't he?
It hasn't been a particularly good year.
No, yeah, his average is down. He's been very streaky.
He can be pitched too.
Yeah, but tremendous pop.
He's a high ball hitter. Doesn't like the ball down below the waist.
Mets found out about that pop very quickly last year. The first game they faced him, he hit homers from both sides of the plate. Angel Pagan on deck.
David steal a base here, or he let Duda swing the bat.
Good time for it with 2 outs.
10 steals this year for Wright. Well, after his 3-hit game in the first game yesterday and his ensuing 6 at bats, Duda's hit 5 fly balls to the outfield.
Well, Vasquez has not lost anything on his fastball, that's for sure. 95 pitches in. Those were the days.
1-2 to Lucas Duda. Now the 1-2 and a little dribbler foul. He's been able to change speeds on that curveball all night.
It's interesting that Lucas is starting to get a steady diet of slow and slower.
Speed pitch missing, and it's 2-2. Vasquez about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. And he gets Duda swinging. For Javier Vasquez, career strikeout number 2,500. Only the 30th player in Major League history to reach that plateau. No score after 6. in turn 9 games up on the Giants in the wild card. Brewers with the big lead in the Central Division. Mike Cameron leads off the 7th in a scoreless game, and that leaves the National League West, which is getting a little stretched out. Diamondbacks now with a 5-game lead after winning their 7th in a row last night, beating Colorado.
They're in the middle of the pack in hitting, middle of the pack in pitching, middle of the pack in fielding, have one superstar in their lineup, and every night they get a well-pitched ball game and somehow get it done.
Well, that leads to our Toyota text poll. Who do you think is going to win the West? A, the Diamondbacks, or B, the Giants? Text 57508 or visit sny.tv. The Giants have been losing some really bad games lately. I mean, last night they're playing the Cubs, and Randy Wells threw a complete game 2-hitter.
I mean,
Randy Wells, is not a dominant pitcher, but the Giants just can't score. And then last night Lincecum gave up 3 home runs, which you never see. Giants, since they acquired Carlos Beltran, now he spent 2 weeks on the disabled list, just 11-20, and have continued to not score. Diamondbacks have Ian Kennedy having the year of his life, and that has certainly helped them and their pitching staff, which has been better than expected. Cameron hits a bolt down the line past right, and Cameron has himself a leadoff double here in the 7th. The first extra base hit for either side.
Well, the rule is 7th inning on, you guard the line in the tie ball game or the tying run coming up at the plate. And you get burned more in the hole, and the Mets have played that way all year long. Do not guard the line, and that time it came and hurt them.
Now the question is, how is Jack McKeon going to handle this inning? You've got the number 8 hitter Buck at the plate. Vasquez, who has been brilliant, has thrown 100 pitches and is due up next. As of yet, nobody has come out on deck. Buck has lined to left and drawn a walk 0 for 1. And now Vasquez is coming out on deck.
And the Mets do not feel that Buck is going to bunt here. David Wright playing very deep, and Nick Evans kind of indifferent. He's in nowhere's land, but certainly not in a bunt position.
Well, having the pitcher on deck would make you think he's not going to bunt. Although Vasquez is not a bad hitter. Foul off the foot of Buck. Pelfrey looking to make a play, but it was a foul ball all the way.
Well, we go back to history, and Buck had the big hit against Pelfrey in his first start of this 2011 season.
Burdack and Igarashi both getting ready in case Pelfrey needs help here in the 7th. Mike is up over 100 pitches for the night after throwing 125 his last time out. Cameron at second and nobody out. Marlins have not had a hit with a runner in scoring position in ages. Had a chance in the last inning, and Sanchez popped up with the bases loaded. Now it's Buck with an opportunity. And the slider away, a ball and a strike. One from Pelfrey, and Buck takes outside. On opening night, John Buck introduced himself to the Mets and to the Marlins fans. His first game for Florida, and he hit the opposite field grand slam. That was the difference in a 6-2 Florida win. Two-one from Pelfrey, and Buck takes low and inside, 3-1. Well, you certainly don't want to walk Buck here, because then you just give Vasquez an opportunity to bunt,
which means you allow him to stay in the game.
I mean, if you can get Buck out here, then at least you provide Jack McKeon with a tougher decision. Although he has nobody up in his bullpen, he clearly is planning to let Vasquez hit no matter what. 3-1, and Buck takes a strike.
David's still off that line. Keith?
Well, the go-ahead's in scoring position now, so you play it by the book here.
9th full count of the night for Pelfrey. And Buck watches ball 4, and the Marlins have the first 2 men on. And now that makes it easy for Florida. They can send Vasquez up to bunt. That's 4 walks for Pelfrey. They've all come in the last 3 innings.
Well, we'll see how the Mets play it. You got speed at second base. Boy, it's going to be tough to put a wheel on. And Mike Cameron, the lead runner.
110 pitches now for Pelfrey as Dan Warthen looks on. And the question is, after 125 against the Phillies, does he have much left?
I think he does. He's throwing fine. I think the key here, though, with Vasquez, what Mike can do to get himself out of this inning, as David Wright is talking to his infielders, talking to Pelfrey, putting the signs on, is that you can throw a strike and just bust your rear end over to the third base side and make a play for yourself. Get that force out. Change the whole inning.
Well, Evans has shown in the past here, since he's been playing first base, he charges aggressively. So it's Vasquez has got to push the ball on the third base line. Now look at Reyes. Reyes is playing it like he's going to get over there to third base.
Turner trying to keep Cameron close. Mets run the wheel, and Vasquez takes a strike.
It was the right play by the Mets and the right play by Vasquez.
Yes.
Well, if you see the wheel, you're supposed to swing away.
And you see Turner is really keeping Cameron tight at second base. So Evans charging. They are conceding the play at first base. I mean, how is Turner going to get over?
You're selling out to go to third or second.
Yep.
Of course, you got a very slow runner at first, so that makes that play at second available if the play is not there at third.
Look at Turner. There's no way he can get the first. No chance.
Mets run the wheel. Right. Looks to third and now has no play.
Well, he's got to throw it.
I mean, the only play was at third. And David had to know that Turner wasn't there to cover first, so the Mets mess it up.
Well, number 1, Ronnie, excellent bunt.
Yep. Got to throw that play. Everyone's in. There is no play at first ever on that play.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen a team sell out like that.
I don't like the play one bit. I don't like the play one bit. Look what happened.
Did he have a play at second?
Could have had a play at second base. Could have had a play at third. The play is designed to go to third.
Right.
It has to go to third.
Yes.
Even if it's safe, has to go to third.
You have no time on that play. With Evans charging, look at Evans. And look at the runner at first. He's already halfway there. You got no shot.
They have no shot at second either.
So they're selling out, as you said, Gary. Very good word to use. Selling out to third. So David has to throw it no matter what.
And I would think if you're going to run that play, at some point you've got to fake the pick off to second to keep Cameron a little
They were
closer.
supposed to. Turner went to second base. Pelfrey did not throw the ball to second. That's what you had to do, and you had to disguise it a little better. Reyes has enough speed. He can fake Cameron back too and still beat him to the bag.
So now bases loaded, nobody out. Bonifacio the batter. Always the threat of the bunt with Bonifacio. The infield's in anyway.
Now you've got a big inning, and I don't like that play. I think that you have Reyes hold the runner tight if you want to put the wheel on, and Reyes is just as quick to get a little quicker jump, and Turner has to. You cannot vacate first base.
Bonifacio fouls one off his foot. Again, Pelfrey charging it as though the ball's in play. 0-1 to Bonifacio. So a double by Cameron set the whole thing in motion. Then Pelfrey pitched carefully to his old nemesis Buck and walked him. And Vasquez with the good bunt, and the Mets with the unusual bunt defense, unable to make a play. It scored an infield hit for Vasquez.
Vasquez put down the bunt under the gun there, and that's when you pitcher helping himself.
Yep. With Pelfrey here, you want a comebacker, something to the corners that they can come home and get a force out. pop up.
And David Wright playing 3 feet on the grass. You're never going to squeeze with no outs. Never. So there's no need to play that far in.
Except that Bonifacio is the kind of guy who might be bunting on his own.
That's fine. Just follow Cameron in, shovel it to home plate, and he's out with the force.
Do me a favor and bunt.
Yeah.
And Toley has to knock that one down. 2 balls and a strike. Pelfrey unhappy, as you can certainly understand. 115 pitches now for Mike, coming off 125 his last outing. And you have to think this might be his last batter. Mets can match up with Burdack against Dobbs and then Igarashi against Stanton if they want to go to the bullpen.
Well, good pitch to hit with the bases loaded.
2-1 to Bonifacio. And he hits it hard, a base hit, and the Marlins score the first run. Cameron is in, everybody else moves up a base. Bonifacio with an RBI single, 1-0 Florida. So Cameron with the first extra base hit of the night, led off with a double, and he comes in to score the game's first run.
Little slider, just a spinner right in the middle of the plate. I don't know, Bonifacio was a 350 hitter the way he hit that ball to right and Cadillac it down to first base.
Suppose the runner at second gets sent home.
Or maybe.
And you're not in a position to advance. Second on a throw.
Well, Mike Pelfrey certainly had himself a good night. But for his 16th straight start against the Florida Marlins, he will fail to get a victory. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln. Tim Burdack coming on. 1-0 Florida. We'll be right back. Against the Florida Marlins, 6 scoreless innings, but unable to retire a batter here in the 7th. Leaves trailing 1-0 and leaves the bases loaded for Tim Burdack.
Tim Burdack has been outstanding. Only 3 earned runs in his last 38 games. See that low ERA, strikeouts more than innings pitched. It's been a successful year for Tim Burdack.
I'm a bit surprised Jack McKeon hasn't pinched hit here. Dobbs hardly faces left-handers, and this is a team that has struggled offensively. I know he's only got 4 men on his bench, but this is a time where you can put the hammer down.
He has Jose Lopez, who would be the logical guy in this spot, a right-hand bat. Dobbs 0 for 3 tonight, and he pulls off the slider, 0-1. A run is in. Base is loaded. A very slow runner at Buck in third as Igarashi continues to lose him with the right-hand batter Stanton on deck.
Thompson, we've seen him in the past versus left-handed pitching as Stanton waits on deck. He'll hit that ball to left field if you stay on the outside corner.
Well,
Dobbs had only one at bat against Burdack, 0 for 1.
I think he's going to get a steady diet of breaking ball here. If anything that's a fastball, it's going to be, they're going to stay away from him.
Three sliders in a row, and it's 1-2 to Dobbs. A lot to like about the way Pelfrey pitched tonight. But sometimes there are teams you just can't beat. The Marlins have been that team for Mike.
He had his Robert Johnson crossroads moment, I think. 17 runs in his first start against the Marlins, and just hasn't worked out since.
16 starts since then, 0-7 and a chance to be 0-8. Now Burdack ahead of Dobbs 1-2. Infield halfway at second and short. Dobbs fights off the fastball.
Fastball away right there too, and that's got to tell Burdack that he is looking fastball and he's not going to be able to sneak one by him with 2 strikes, and he's going to probably flip him a slider right here, and he can throw it out of the strike zone, see if he'll go fishing.
Dobbs rolls one to the right side. Turner's only play is at first as a run comes home, and it's 2-0 Florida. So Dobbs put it in play and drives in his 43rd run of the year as Buck comes in with the 2nd run of the inning. And the other runners move up as well. So it's 2nd and 3rd and 1 out.
Pretty good at bat by Dobbs there, and that allows Burdack, even though it runs in, you can keep him in the ball game now.
Walks Stanton to fill the open base, and Burdack will face another left-hand hitter in Morrison. Stanton has hit 2 bullets in this game for base hits, also has stolen a base. So it's a no-brainer to walk him and refill the bases. So there's ball 4, and Stanton gets the intentional pass. Now Logan Morrison will come to bat with the bases loaded and 1 out. Morrison is 0 for 2 and a walk. Pelfrey was just rolling for the first 5 2/3. Then he faced 8 more batters and retired only 1. Single and 2 walks, loaded the bases in the 6th. They got Sanchez out, but they never retired anybody in the 7th. So now Morrison with the bases loaded, and he takes a strike from Burdack. Omar Infante waiting on deck. Morrison just 1 for 10 in this series. Not all that fast. Mets would love to get him to hit a ground ball here and try and turn 2. Nice stop by Tolley on the slider in the dirt. 1-1. Vasquez, the pitcher, is on third base. And then you got the great speed of Bonifacio at second.
Pretty good speed in the back end at first too, and Stanton, he runs well for a big guy.
Now the 1-1. Foul back. Morrison grounds it past Evans and into right field, a base hit. Vasquez is in. Bonifacio will score. 4-0 Florida. Now Burdock got the ground ball, but just beyond the reach of Evans, and Morrison drives in two. It's a 4-run inning for the Marlins.
Well, Morrison here, a low ball hitter. Slider didn't get it away enough. Not a terrible pitch. It was down, but just not away enough.
Now, all 4 runs wind up being charged to Mike Pelfrey, so his pitching line will look pretty ugly after a fine performance tonight. Now Igarashi will come out of the bullpen. 4-0 Florida in the 7th. Twisted but True Fact is brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. What do we got for a fact tonight? Maury Wills, when he stole 104 bases and broke Ty Cobb's single season record in 1962, had more stolen bases than every team in the majors.
Wow.
Stolen base was kind of out of vogue for a long time, and Wills brought it back into the game.
Well, you see Igarashi's numbers, 32nd game of the season, but he hasn't pitched in 7 days.
Stanton at second, Morrison at first. 4 runs are in for Florida. Omar Infante, the 8th man up in the inning, is flied out, grounded out, and walked. 0 for 2. Popped it up. Infield fly rule will be called. The batter is out. So Infante goes after the first pitch he sees from Igarashi, and now there are 2 out in the inning. And Gabby Sanchez will be the 9th man up. Sanchez had an opportunity with the bases loaded and 2 out of the 6th, and he popped up. Now he comes up with 2 out and 2 on in the 7th. Mike Pelfrey's final line: 6 innings plus, 4 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Completely not indicative of the way Mike pitched tonight.
Been there, Mike. Lost.
Mike's ERA up to an unsightly 4.65. One to Sanchez. just wondering if we're ever going to see that bunt defense again, which really pummeled this whole inning down for the Mets. Of course, if it works out for you, it's a great play. If you get the out at third, then Bonifacio bats, the infield is back, and you might get an entirely different result.
The other way you could have played it is what we had the Cardinals under Whitey, was you had a slow runner at first. You sell out all the way, third base charges, first baseman kind of holds the runner a little bit tight but charges, the pitcher charges, and you get the runner. Reyes goes to second base, you vacate third, and you get the force at second. Now you got first and third, and try to get a ground ball double play now the inning.
Hit hard, a base hit for Sanchez. Stanton being waved around third. He'll score. It's an RBI single for Gabby Sanchez. It drives in the 5th run of the inning. 5-0 Florida. Well, Sanchez, who had been held in check, 2 hits in this game, and drives in another run. All Sanchez needs to break out of a slump is to face the Mets. That run is charged to Tim Burdack. And now Mike Cameron, who led off the inning with a double, gets his second at bat of the inning. Cameron doubled down the left field line.
There's the IOTV pitch differential for Sanchez. Ball's supposed to be down and away, and he's a high ball hitter, flat out. Ball elevated another foot.
We talked about the bunt play as key in this inning, but Keith kind of talked about it in passing after Cameron got the double, the fact that the Mets were not guarding the line. And I'm wondering at this stage how many teams in the 7th inning of a scoreless game would have been guarding the line in that situation, especially against a right-hand hitter.
Well, you don't see it as much in today's game, and that's a manager's philosophy. I played for Ken Boyer, and Ken Boyer did not want us guarding the lines. He felt you got hurt more in the hole, and that's certainly an argument there. I'm of the rule that you guard the line, no doubles, late in the ball game.
Well, what's interesting here, of course, is that Wright is now closer to the line against Cameron in this at bat than he was in that previous at bat.
I think that's probably because Cameron's more of a pull hitter. And it's just a defensive placement, how they decided to defend Cameron.
Then why didn't he play him there the last time?
Yeah, he needed to play there only because Pelfrey's a ground ball pitcher.
Yeah, that's right. He batted around the order, didn't they?
3-1 for Igarashi, and Cameron pops this one up. And Reyes will wait for it to come down. And finally retires the side, but 10 Marlins came to bat, 5 of them scored. And messing up a really good game for Mike Pelfrey. The Mets playing an unusual bunt defense, wind up with no play. Bonifacio catches in the 1st, and the Marlins score 5. Sports with a preview of tomorrow's Mets-Marlins matchup, plus full coverage and debate on all the stories out of Jets and Giants camp on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, part of the New York Sports Local, tomorrow at 5 on SNY. We're going to the bottom of the 7th. The Mets down 5-0. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, Gary, we continue with a look around the Mets minor league system. We've been doing this for the last week or so, taking a position by position look just to see who's out there and who can help this team in the near future. And today we look at the catching position, and this is a position that, quite frankly, most organizations don't have a lot of depth, if any, of. And the Mets are in the same boat, really. I mean, this is Josh Tolley's show, and that's why it's so important for him to succeed, because they don't have a lot of depth at this position. In fact, when you look at their prospects, they're both at Savannah in the Sally League, so they're a long way away. Really, their top guy is probably Blake Forsythe. He was a third-round pick last year out of Tennessee, and, you know, offensively, average-wise, hasn't been good this year. He's got some pop, though. In fact, you know, talk to some people about him. He's got a good arm. He's got a good defensive catching ability to call games, throw runners out, and he has pop. So, I mean, hey, we're looking at a guy like a John Buck or Rod Barajas, who knows? But there's not much else in the system in terms of that is concerned. I think that's the big issue right here. And a lot of teams have that problem. I mean, the only other guy, when you look at the system, really, that is as a prospect type would be another guy that's also in Savannah, and his name is Albert Cordero. He's a 21-year-old, signed out of Venezuela at 18 years old, and he's had a really good second half. At 335 in the second half. Good athlete, you know, decent defensive player, but, you know, what I've been told, more of a backup catcher type. So there isn't that stud at that position at all. Pagan leads it off. Fellas, to you.
Well, what it tells you is that, you know, any catching that the Mets have on the rise is a long way away. So, you know, the way the catching is going to look for at least the next couple of years is going to be very dependent on how Josh Tolley performs, as Pagan lifts it out to left field, and Morrison is there. And, you know, we've said a lot about Josh's defense this year, both negatively and recently more positively. And the question is whether he's making enough progress for the Mets to be leaning on him in the next few years.
Well, you know, there's not a lot out there to trade for. Josh is going to have to get the job done. Kevin was talking about these young players are in the distance, but I think even a bigger issue, this is an epidemic that is happening throughout younger baseball. If you've got a stud player who's a catcher, they're moving him to different positions and not leaving him in the catching position. The Washington Nationals, of course, with their #1 pick, a prime example.
So what that leaves you with, perhaps, and we've talked about this with middle infielders, as the game is changing and in some ways reverting to the way it was 20-30 years ago. Your shortstop was a defensive player. Your second baseman, your center fielder, your catcher, those were your prime defensive positions, and maybe you have to end up not looking for the big bat behind the plate, but going defense first.
I totally agree. With all these charts and an ability to know how to attack the opposing team's offense, I think you need a brainiac back there that knows how to execute.
Hey, hits one out to left, another easy one for Morrison, and there are 2 out.
And you want a guy that could, you know, going all the way back in time, but, you know, with Jerry Grody, a tough guy who, you know, demands respect from his pitchers, loves calling a game, loves taking charge of his team. Maybe that's the guy you're looking for.
And maybe is a 240, 250 hitter who will hit 5 to 7 home runs a year, and you know, maybe you need to accept that if you don't have the stud guy who gives you the offense as well. Here's Nick Evans with 2 out, and the question is, you know, do you have that here now, or do you have to go out and get that to, you know, to move down the road the next couple of years? And I think that's really an open question. And, you know, we're going to have Sandy Alderson on sometime in the next week, and I think that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Dobbs in front of the ground ball, throws out Evans, and Vasquez makes it look easy. An 8-pitch 7th inning after being given the lead. 5-0 Florida. Thinks going to win the NL West? Well, nearly 2/3 of the respondents feel as though the Diamondbacks are going to hang on. Now, Ronnie, you've been the holdout over the last week or so, saying that the Giants were going to have a run. Are you still feeling this way?
Yes, I do, and I'm definitely in the minority. And if you're looking at this, it looks like it's going to be futile for the Giants. But just remember, the same time this year, the San Diego Padres had it locked for the National League West. Locked, and they lost 10 straight. I think San Francisco has one more run, and whether Arizona is going to be able to withstand it, it'll be interesting to watch.
So Jose Lopez on deck, Edward Mexica up in the bullpen for the Marlins. So Javier Vasquez done after 7 brilliant innings as Buck fouls went off the end of the bat. Buck had a key at bat in that 5-run 7th after the leadoff double by Cameron. Pelfrey wound up walking Buck on a 3-2 pitch. If he gets him out in that spot, then well, maybe Jack McKeon bats for Javier Vasquez. But even if he doesn't, Vasquez isn't bunting in that spot, and maybe the inning goes very differently. And Igarashi's curveball sits high, 1-2. Buck has walked twice, lined out to left. Bay made a diving catch. That was in the 3rd. 4 runs charged to Pelfrey, the other charged to Burdack. And another curveball from Igarashi fouled off. Igarashi came in, gave up a hit to Sanchez that plated a run. Retired his other 2 hitters.
You know, Atlanta's been trying to hang around, just 6.5 behind the Phillies, but they're going to go down in defeat tonight. Looks like 9-2 in the 8th.
4 home runs for the Nats tonight.
And the Phillies are behind Halladay 8-0 in 9th. That's going to put them 7.5 back. It's hard to hang in there.
Yeah.
And again, you know, the Philly Atlanta race, if there is one, would be exactly like the Yankee Red Sox race, which is that it's a non-race because both teams are going to the postseason.
I still have that mentality, though, of wanting to be the winner.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what's more important, winning the division or winning the World Series? I mean, enough wild card teams have won it all now that it kind of negates the whole idea of winning the division, as long as you can get into the show. And that's why I think baseball is on the right idea in adding a wild card team, which it looks like they're going to do maybe as early as next year, to create more of an incentive to win the division as Buck goes down looking. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. You got to wonder if he's hurt, Ron.
Yeah, he's been throwing about 85 to 87 miles an hour, and that's about 5 miles an hour less. You know, he's a guy that has been hampered with all kinds of injuries, arm injuries, leg injuries.
Jose Lopez, the pinch hitter for the Marlins, played first base in the nightcap last night, went 1 for 4. Reyes on the backhand and can't make the play. And Lopez is aboard. A hot shot, but one that Reyes usually makes in his sleep.
Well, the ball came up here, and I know that they're trying to teach backhand to Tejada, and I always feel, Gary, if you can get in front of the ball, get in front of the ball, because if the ball comes up, you got your body there to block it, and you can make the play. The backhand, you don't have that body there, and the ball comes up, takes a bad hop like that one did to Jose.
So it's an error on Reyes, so that's 2 errors in 2 games since returning for Reyes. 1 out and 1 on for Bonifacio, who drove in the game's first run with a bases loaded single in the 7th. Well, if Jurgens is hurting and the Braves are moving toward postseason and they don't know if they're going to get Tommy Hanson back, who's their third starter?
Boy, Beachy right now is their third starter. Lowe's going to have to get it going, I guess. Do they take a chance? And Delgado came up and threw 6 no-hit innings.
Or do you use a Mike Minor?
Mike Minor.
Depending on who you're facing. You know, maybe you want the left-hander. You're facing the Phillies in the second round.
It's a big blow because it's not the regular season where you're playing a lot of patsies. You're playing the big boys that got here, the upper echelon teams, and that's a big blow when you got a team like Atlanta, strike 3, called again.
Third time Bonifacio has been called on strikes tonight.
When you start getting into the playoffs, you're playing the best teams, and they're there for a reason. You can't afford to lose one of your starting pitchers.
So now Dobbs is 0 for 4, but drove in a run with a ground out in the 7th. Well, tomorrow is the 31st of August, and by midnight tomorrow night, the teams that are heading to the postseason cannot acquire any more players to use in the postseason. And it'll be interesting to see if any deals are made before tomorrow night. A guy that I can't believe nobody's going to pick up, since he seems to be completely available, is a guy who pitched a gem last night for Houston, and that's Wandy Rodriguez. Struck out 13 in 7 innings last night against the Pirates.
Don't be surprised if Atlanta doesn't try to make a move on Wandy.
Now, we don't know. He has to have gone through waivers or been claimed by the right team. We're not privy to that. But generally, you get at least a deal or two on that last day of August. After that, you can only use players who are in your organization in the postseason. Dobbs goes around, 3 strikeouts in the inning for Igarashi. We go to the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field with the Marlins up 5-0. All things New York sports. Brian Peterson takes over in left field for defense for the Marlins. And Edward Mujica takes over the pitching.
Well, the Venezuelan right-hander who came from San Diego last season has had a strong year for the Marlins. 8 wins out of that bullpen. Started his career with Cleveland, then moved on to, of course, San Diego.
Josh Thole, first man up for the Mets. In the bottom of the 8th, Mets have managed only 3 hits, but happy to see Javier Vasquez out of the game.
Pretty dominant performance by Vasquez.
He allowed just 3 hits in 7 scoreless innings, walked 1, struck out 6, and has a chance for his 8th win against 11 losses. We were talking about Vasquez, and as you look at DJ Carrasco up in the Mets bullpen, and the fact that even though he's pitched so much better the second half of the year, he doesn't have the wins to show for it because the Marlins just haven't been scoring. And tonight they had one big inning for him as Tolley sneaks one up the middle, and Josh has his second hit of the night. So the Mets with new life now with Vasquez out of the game, and Tolley gets aboard to start it. Now Willie Harris will bat for Igarashi. Harris got a start in left field in the second game of the doubleheader last night. Went 2 for 3 and drove in a run. So Willie now has 4 hits in his last 5 at bats. Takes it down. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jose Reyes, who's 1 for 3 on the night, waiting on deck. Lean on the fastball, and it's 1-2 to Harris. Let's see. Reyes is 1 for 3 tonight. Ryan Braun is 0 for 2. So Reyes, who started the night with a 2-point lead in the batting race, remaining in front for the moment. And a triple or foul. Still 1-2 to Harris. So how about this? The Dodgers, who are 7 games under 500 and may do well to stay in last place, could have the MVP and the Cy Young Award winner this year. Swing and a miss, and Harris is out on strikes. I was just thinking about that today. I mean, Kemp has had an unbelievable year, and Kershaw is probably the best pitcher in the league.
Well, Kemp is batting coming into today's game .319. He's close to the top. Probably not going to get the title, but that would be a Triple Crown type year for him, or a chance at the Triple Crown.
He's tied for the league lead in home runs.
Right.
I think the MVP is going to come out of Wisconsin this year.
Yeah, but what if they split the vote?
And Kershaw should win. I mean, right now, I would vote for Kershaw.
I just don't think a player in a last place team, or could be an MVP.
Out at second, but no chance to get Reyes at first.
A Cy Young could come out of a last place team.
Well, there have been MVPs from last place teams.
Yep.
Andre Dawson won.
One in the building.
Right. Andre Dawson won it. A-Rod won it for a last place team.
Yep.
So, it happens, and it usually happens in quirky ways, and the situation in Milwaukee might provide just that kind of a quirky way. Everybody splits their vote, and then with the voting system that they have, where you put 10 people on your ballot, everybody puts Kemp second, or something like that, and maybe he sneaks in and gets it.
Well, my feeling is it's got to be Fielder and Braun got to get a lot of the 1 and 2 votes. And what do you do if Braun wins a batting title and you got Fielder, who's driven in more runs and clutch runs?
What if Justin Upton has a big September?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of games left.
And the thing about Upton, and I think that gives him real credentials, his team's in first place, and there's nobody else in that lineup.
Absolutely.
I mean, Chris Young is a decent complementary player, but what else do you have there? Ryan Roberts and a whole bunch of nobodies. Turner has a base hit, and the Mets have 2 men on. Let's check in with Gary Apple, see what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night. Gary?
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, going to check in on the Americans at the U.S. Open. James Blake and Serena Williams, plus the former Giants tight end Jeremy Shockey. Turns out to be quite the lifesaver. Details when we see you tonight, guys.
Diving catch for Shockey. David Wright bats with 2 out and 2 on. David's 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. Single to center field his last time up. Mike Cameron trying to make a diving catch, but trapped the ball. The first time since the first inning that the Mets have had a runner past first base. In the first inning, the Mets had first and third and 1 out. But Duda and Pagan flied out, and Vasquez had the Mets by the throat after that. Now Mujica trying to work out of trouble in the 8th, and Wright fouls back the fastball. One-two from Mujica, and Wright lines one over short, a base hit. Reyes will be held at third. Now thinks about running through the stop sign, but thinks better of it. And now the Mets have the bases loaded. So Chip Hale clearly wanted to take no chances with Reyes, because with 2 out, you'd normally send him in that spot.
5-0. You can't send him there.
Nope.
Give young Duda a chance to get your team within run.
Ball hit too hard.
So Duda will bat with the bases full. 3 hits in the inning off Mujica. Jack McKeon on his way to the mound. He's got the lefty available in the bullpen. And he's going to make the move. So Mujica gives up 3 hits. Will leave with the bases loaded. And the Marlins will bring in the left-hander to face Duda. We'll be back in a moment. Mike Dunn is brought in to face Lucas Duda.
Got him to pop up in last night's game, but he's going through a little tough streak against left-handed hitters.
Well, sorry, Gary. I think it's a good matchup for Lucas. Power pitcher, hard fastball, no nonsense, and Duda's doesn't. At this stage of his career, his young career, he likes that gas.
So the Mets with a chance to get right back in this game in the bottom of the 8th, down 5-0. Bases loaded, 2 out. Duda 0 for 3 tonight, couple of fly balls and a strikeout. Mets had just 3 hits in 7 innings against Vasquez. They've got 3 hits here in the 8th. Mujica outdone in to face Duda. And a fastball strike.
pretty good gas right there. 95 miles an hour.
Reminds me of what was his name? Daly. Ken Daly. The Cardinal.
Yeah, that's right. Good call.
Over the top, straight gas, threw hard, but he had a wicked hook.
Well, let's hope Duda can make like Strawberry, hitting it off the clock. Ball and a strike to Duda. 1985 Busch Stadium. Ronnie started that game against John Tudor.
That was Ronnie's game of his life. That and in the World Series.
Hanging hook from Daly.
11th inning, and Strawberry knocked out some light bulbs on the clock at Busch Stadium. I was sitting in the stands in center field.
Yep. The closest you're going to get to a natural moment, right?
I went to that game very nervous because we were facing Tudor, who was red hot, and I knew that Ronnie had to match goose eggs with him. And Ronnie just pitched a heck of a ball game. The shame that either one of them came away with an ND on that one.
By the way, FYI, the clock here at Citi Field's a whole lot further than it was at Busch Stadium. 1-2 to Duda, and he fouls it off. I mean, if you were to hit the clock at the bottom of the scoreboard in right field over the Pepsi porch, how long a home run do you think that would be?
Wow.
About 600 feet?
Ruthian. I think he's going to get a slider here, Keith.
One-two from Dunn to Duda, and he strikes him out with a high gas. So Dunn comes in and gets the job done against Duda and keeps it a 5-0 Florida lead. For 354 steps.
You counted them?
I didn't. Somebody did.
Well,
I walked it. I did that when I was a kid.
I have.
And of course, for years you weren't allowed inside.
Yeah, I've been there too. On a cold December day, it was not a good option.
Were the steps slippery?
No, it was fine.
DJ Carrasco will pitch the top of the ninth. Mike Stanton leads off and takes a strike. Stanton's been on base 3 times tonight. 2 singles and an intentional walk. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run.
Tells me a little bit about Stanton. Last night, a ball up at his shoulder, towards his head. Responds the next day with 2 bullets.
Interesting to you that there's been no hint of retaliation since then?
It's a different kind of game.
I don't think they throw at him on purpose.
Yeah, no, they certainly didn't.
thought it was a nearly head-high fastball. And sometimes the intent there doesn't matter.
I think the game's changed, Gary. Like all that stuff. You know, I get angry here in the booth only because you want to see the team protect your players. But you know, it's not a big thing.
Down the right field line, headed toward the Pepsi porch, and that ball is out of here. Mike Stanton with an opposite field home run, his 31st of the year to tie for the league lead. 6-0 Florida.
You see the reaction of his teammates? They're in wonderment.
Well, there's a lot to wonder about when a 21-year-old kid is able to go opposite field that way.
I always say if the cartoon Bam Bam was personified, it is Stanton.
Have we seen anybody hit one right-handed into the Pepsi porch?
We have
before?
not, let alone upper tank.
I mean,
that is the porch.
They gave him a silent treatment. Don't worry about it. He made enough noise with his bat.
Pretty impressive.
Now Brian Peterson up for the first time.
This was a high fastball out over the plate.
Well, why retaliate with a head-high pitch when you can hit him out like that? Where are his teammates?
So you give him the silent treatment. Look at he's giving high fives to the air.
He's Phantom 5. Peterson came in to play left field for defense. Started the second game of the doubleheader last night and went 1 for 4. Stanton has now hit 5 of his 31 home runs against the Mets. Starting play today, he was just 1 off the league lead in home runs. Kemp and Pujols each had 31, and now Stanton has joined them. And Peterson slugs one out towards center. Back goes Pagan. 1 out. Here's your Dunkin' Donuts around the majors. Roy Halladay went 7, drove in 3. Ryan Howard hit 2 home runs, and the Phillies beat the Reds 9-0. The Nats hit 4 home runs and routed Jair Jurgens and the Braves 9-2. And Eric Chavez with a couple of RBIs. The Yankees leading the Red Sox. That game is now in the bottom of the 7th, 5-2. It means Sabathia might win a game at Fenway.
On a big one.
Is it really a big one?
Well, to me, Gary, you want to set the tone. This has been a fight in that National League, American League East. You want to finish in first place.
Fonte has a base hit. Well, but if they meet in the American League Championship Series, which is certainly possible, is what they're both shooting for, will it matter what happened in the regular season?
Well, coming into this game, the Yankees were 2-10 against the Red Sox. You know what it matters? That Sabathia pitched well. He had been 0-4 against the Red Sox, and that he had a good game under his belt if they faced them in the postseason. I think that's a big thing.
I think it's important in the battle down the stretch that you, the one that came out on top. We beat you down the stretch.
All I know is in 1988 you guys were 10-1 against the Dodgers.
I hear you loud and clear, but still I don't care about that. It happens. We also had a pitcher that lost a finger. And we had another starter that won 20 that popped off, and Mr. Klappich had fun with a nice article in the paper and got them all fired up.
Glad you're over it.
Seemed a little angry. Sanchez hits one out to left, and Bay goes back to get it for the second out.
You know, the one thing, though, when you do look at the Red Sox and the Yankees, to me, both of them have a big advantage in their home ballpark, especially the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And you win first place, and the Red Sox are 40-25 in their home. That means something to me.
2 out. Here's Mike Cameron, who's 1 for 4.
So then all the more reason you want to have the 7th game at home.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I came to the clubhouse and we heard that Bob Ojeda had the accident. It was just, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. I mean, come on. I went, you got to be kidding me.
One and two to Cameron. And the sidearm delivery, and Cameron delivers it into center. So Cameron has his second hit of the game. The third hit of the inning off Carrasco. So 2 out and 2 on, and now John Buck, who's walked twice and scored a run, 0 for 2. Well, the Tigers won tonight in walk-off fashion. Ramon Santiago homered in the bottom of the 10th to beat Kansas City 2-1. Detroit started the day with a 5-game lead in the AL Central over the White Sox.
Santiago, like the backup infielder?
That's the one. White Sox are up 8-6 on Minnesota in the 6th. Cleveland, which began the day 5.5 back, won tonight, beating Oakland 6-2. By the way, see, Cleveland sent Matt Laporta down to the minors.
Yeah.
Of course, they had to make room for Jim Thome.
Thome hit a home run, I believe, in the second game with the Indians.
What do you think about that? Minnesota hanging on to Thome long enough for him to hit his 600th home run and then saying goodbye.
Well, I thought that was very strange. Of course, you know, it's not like they need to sell out games there, but because they sell out every night in Minnesota. But that was strange, you know, to go through that 600th home run moment, and it was, you know, magical and great, and, you know, did it in a Minnesota uniform, and then see you later.
Well, now he gets to go back to the place where it all started for him in Cleveland, but it is odd. Turner squeezes the pop up by Buck. Stanton's home run makes it 6-0 Florida. Winning streak very much in jeopardy. Leo Nunez, the deposed closer of the Marlins, will pitch with a 6-0 lead in the ninth.
Well, why is he deposed? His August numbers, 12.91 ERA. He's lost a couple of times. And this after an amazing May when he set a record for the Marlins with 11 saves. But that magic's gone.
Angel Pagan, Jason Bay, and Nick Evans trying to make some noise in the ninth. Mets have been shut out 6 times this year, trying to avoid a 7th. As Pagan takes a strike. Pagan's been up 3 times and hit 3 fly balls to left field. Mets were stymied for 7 innings by Javier Vasquez, as John Buck took the brunt of that foul ball.
Juan Rodriguez. How about Javi Vasquez down the stretch?
Well, the way he's pitching right now, again, we don't know who's gone through waivers.
Right.
But, you know, if you're Atlanta and Vasquez has had success for you before,
there you go.
He certainly looks like he's getting stronger as the year's going on.
5 starts was huge in September.
Oh, and 2 to Pagan, up and away. Of course, you can still make a deal in September, but then that player isn't eligible for postseason. I remember, was it your buddy Rick Honeycutt who got traded with 5 days to go in the season?
Yeah, he did. He did. From Seattle to somewhere?
The Yankees?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Just, you know, for the last few games of the season in case they needed an extra lefty.
Well, it makes sense with a left-hander like that. Own lefties. Your guy may be running out of gas.
Two from Nunez, and Pagan watches wide, a full count.
I had a game in Kansas City. It was the funniest game. Had a no-hitter. Keith Miller leads off the 7th. Our old Keith Miller leads off the 7th with an infield hit. La Russa takes me out, brings in Honeycutt. Honeycutt throws wild to first base. Miller scores from first. Game over. Done. Hang with him.
Shallow left. Bonifacio calling. 1 out. Right after we're done here, be sure to keep it tuned for Lincoln Postgame Live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda will be along with all the highlights, all the analysis. They'll take you inside the clubhouse. Terry Collins postgame press conference, all that stuff. Lincoln Postgame Live right after the game, right here on SNY.
They're going to try to explain that's top of the 7th. Good luck.
Here's Jason Bay, 0 for 3 in this game, 0 for his last 16 and 2 for his last 44. It was 1995. Rick Honeycutt went from the A's to the Yankees on September 25th. It might be the latest trade ever in the season.
I think it was just to have another left-hander in the bullpen for that last week, Keith.
I think it was 5 games to go, if I recall correctly.
I was already retired to the farm by then.
You finished 95, didn't you?
No. August 19th, I was let go. My birthday.
How you spend the rest of the summer?
On your birthday? Barbecuing, yeah. Let go.
Did you celebrate? You didn't have to go to the ballpark.
I did kind of. I mean, it was, you know, every time I went out there, I was filling the place with line drives, so it was nice to go someplace safe.
Bay gets under 1 to left field. And Peterson is there. 2 out. By the way, the untold story about that Honeycutt trade, he got there with 5 games to go in the season. He pitched in 3 games for a total of 1 inning and allowed 3 runs for an ERA as a Yankee of 27.
What year was this?
95.
Some guys can't pitch in New York.
Well, they didn't bring him back the next spring, so I guess they got their answer. Now Nick Evans. 0 for 3 on the night, and he takes a strike. Mets are down to their final out. Honeycutt went to the Cardinals and pitched the next 2 years after that. Right now, the very respected pitching coach of the Dodgers. And he may have a Cy Young Award winner on his staff this year. Ball and a strike to Evans. Nick came into the night red hot. He was 10 for his last 17, but tonight 2 ground balls and a strikeout. Mets have been limited to 6 singles in this game. They had their best scoring chance in the first. Bypassed that, had another chance against the bullpen in the 8th. And Evans lifts this ball into shallow center, and this should be caught. Bonifacio catches it in the webbing, and the ball game is over. The Mets are shut out for the 7th time this year. Terrific effort by Javier Vasquez as he outduels Mike Pelfrey, and the Marlins get a game in this series. The Mets have now taken 2 of the first 3 with 2 left to play.
Boy, Pelfrey's line won't indicate how well he pitched. Everything came unraveled in that 7th inning, and just too much Vasquez today. And congratulations to Javi, his 2,500 strikeout of his career.
Man, that man I just showed right there, Mr. Stanton, opposite field home run, his 31st of the year. Mets only got 6 hits. It was too much Vasquez in command the whole way. And the Mets dropped the 3rd game of this series, as Gary stated.
Your New York Community Bank game summary. Vasquez continues to pitch very well, and the Mets' 4-game winning streak comes to an end. We'll be right back.